Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. And before I get to our guests here today, I'd like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this content, to please give a like and subscribe down below. I'd greatly appreciate it. We have Celeste Shaffar on the podcast. She's an IFBB bikini pro coming to us all the way from Houston. She graduated from the University of Texas, and she's a petroleum engineer. But most importantly, she's our current guest. Celeste, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Absolutely. So why don't you give us a little bit of a backstory on what inspired you to adapt that healthy and fit lifestyle?
Oh, definitely graduating from college and getting into the oil and gas industry. I wanted to pick up a healthy hobby, and I chose bodybuilding.
Wow. So, what made you choose bodybuilding out of all the things to adapt? Because we have so many people that, they like, I'll choose running or I'll choose, something else. What about bodybuilding really caught your attention?
It's really the lifestyle, and then as an engineer, I really appreciate, the preciseness and the controlled environment.
Yeah, it is one of those things though too, where it's just all about trial and error when it comes to bodybuilding, which is why I always love to ask, because it is one of those things that a lot of people don't realize is that if you were to go to a gym with 100 people, there are 100 different ways as to how those people got into shape. I mean, whether it comes down to their diet, their training, their nutrition, how many reps they do. I mean, there's just so many little things that add up to the package that you end up seeing. And I always say, if you were to go up to someone and say, what worked best for you, 99% of the time, what worked best for them isn't going to work as good for you. Was that a struggle for you at all, finding out what worked best for your body when you got started?
It was definitely a process to figure out what worked, what didn't, what I liked, what I didn't like, and it was a bit of a struggle, and it was mostly a time thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, because time, it just takes so long. And I always like to say, people in the young generation, they want everything now and they want it yesterday. So, everything with them is, we need it, to happen right now. They don't realize that it's such a time process where, it's like, you're not going to, I always compare it to like being an alcoholic and trying to get weight losses, that if you're an alcoholic and you go one day without drinking, you've already made significant progress. Whereas if you were someone who just worked out for one day, you're not going to see any change if you go really look in the mirror. So it's one of those things where you just have to say, it's going to happen. And then when you finally start seeing those results, it can be so inspiring. So I always tell people, you just have to stick with it. But also when you were getting started, I love to ask, because we have, the fabulous thing about human beings is that everyone has different genetics. Everyone has different things that work well for them. What was one body part when you got started training that really took off, that you don't have to train as much now? And what is one body part that really lagged behind, that, you don't have to, that you have to like train into overdrive? Because for me, it's like my back is really, really good where I don't have to train as much, but I'm 6'3", so my legs are just a nightmare when it comes to training. What are those body parts for you?
Honestly, I don't have a struggle putting on muscle. In fact, I have to take it off. So that is actually the struggle for me, is not putting too much on. So actually right now I'm doing a lot of plyometrics, a lot of band work, a lot of running. I will say the one struggle is keeping the glutes, but streamlining the legs, if that makes sense. So that is my current struggle.
Well, she might be one of the luckiest genetically people we've ever talked to, because and plus I say the type of people that I hate the most are the people with just the naturally like big calves. And I saw your video that you just posted on Instagram, and there was a close up of your calves, and I was like, okay, I don't even want to have her on anymore. It's like I'm throwing this out the window. Like, this is BS, because I'm one of those people who I could do 10,000 calf raises. I could inject pure muscle into my calves and they wouldn't grow. So yeah, it's just a genetic thing. But did you have any athletic background at all before you got into weightlifting?
Oh, definitely. I played polo in college, equestrian polo.
Oh, yeah.
Soccer in high school, track. I did CrossFit. So I've always been very active, but I have been genetically blessed. Yeah. But the grass is always greener on the other side. So my struggle is always different from someone else's struggle.
Well, yeah, because I was going to say, because I thought when you were talking that like you didn't do anything athletic at all, and then you just finally decide, hey, I want to go work out. So I was like, okay, that's really weird, because I was like, she must have the best genetics of all time if she has never touched a weight before, and then she like goes in there. But yeah, so equestrian polo, you're the first guest that we've also had that has done that. What really got you into that sport?
Oh my gosh, I've ridden since I was 2. Always had horses, ponies. In fact, I'm going to my sister's house later to ride. So it's something that I also like doing aside from bodybuilding.
Yeah, I have had some personal. I've never rode a horse, but I had an uncle's farm in Nebraska who, he had a couple horses on there, and he had a really cool one. It was all black with a white stripe on its mane, and it had a blue eye and it had a brown eye. So, I called it, Stally the Stallion. I was really, really young, but then they sold the farm, but yeah, they're still there, and we go visit them every once in a while. They let us go, but yeah, so I have actually a weird experience, or like a bad experience with a horse one time. My brother my little brother was very, very young, and I would always, the horses were nice to me. Whenever I'd come, they'd always walk up to me, and then we'd go like walk in the fields with them. But one time, my brother, he had a BB gun, and he decided it would be funny. He didn't shoot the horse. No, he didn't shoot the horse, but he shot right next to so he was like standing like 10 feet away from the horse, and he like shot in the air. And I was standing right in front of the horse. The horse got spooked. Its paws went up, and then it landed on my foot when it came back down. So I had like a bruised foot for like 2 weeks, and for some reason my brother doesn't think that was his problem, and that was his fault at all. But I always say, you shot a BB gun next to a horse. What do you think is going to happen? So that's my. I absolutely love horses. So how do you think your background at all, really doing sports in high school, really helped with your development when you got started?
It probably did. And if anything, it was the, dedication to doing something and being active. That definitely helps. Just getting in the pattern of being active and getting out there and moving your body. That helps.
How were you able to be an athlete and also be an engineer in college? I mean, those two things are just so hard to do. I mean, just being an engineer, because I have engineer friends and just what they went through to go through to college, being an athlete on top of that's almost impossible. How are you able to get that done? Was it just a lot of really good time management skills?
Definitely time management and, priorities.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
jeez.
really what it comes down to.
Yeah, and that's just so amazing. And also, how long did it take for you when you got started before you finally said, like, hey, I could do a bodybuilding show? This is something that I really want to do. How much of a process was that?
Oh my gosh. When I first started, it was, I think I hopped on stage, within a couple of months. It wasn't really a big deal. But this last year, my goal was to streamline. So I didn't really have to put on any muscle. As far as the bikini criteria goes, I'm at the top for muscularity. So it was just
It ain't right if
streamlining.
she's having to put down muscle and then she says I'm having trouble putting off. Come on. Have you ever just thought about, just seeing how far you could go and maybe going up to like figure or going up to anything? No, you just want to stay in bikini? Yeah,
Yep. Like I said, grass is always greener on the other side. So
that's
I do
true.
want to stay in
Yeah.
bikini, and I have to do what I have to do to stay in bikini.
So what are some ways that you do try to put off muscle? Because we have so many people on here that talk about trying to put on muscle, but what are some ways that you reverse that at least healthily without just, not working out at all and then just, turning that into fat? Like what are some ways that
Right.
you use in order to turn that muscle, still into, a very lean tone?
Right. So you're just changing the muscle, shape, trying to streamline a little bit. You want to keep your nutrition pretty consistent. You don't want to deprive or starve yourself, but the exercises are a little bit different. And then a lot of different variations of cardio. So you want to keep your shape, but you want to streamline it a little bit. So like you said, you don't want to, turn into fat or anything.
Yeah, like I said, she's got one of the best problems I've ever heard on the show where she needs to put off the muscle. But yeah, that's just awesome. And being a petroleum engineer, I mean, how are you able to find the time as well to go have this lifestyle while you're still working? Because I mean, it's probably got to be long hours, and just how do you find the motivation, especially to go and work out still?
Oh gosh, it's not really motivation at all. Just straight up dedication and getting up and doing it. So I go work out at 4 o'clock in the morning. I put in my hours at the office. I get off work. I go straight to the gym, straight home. So, that's really what it comes down to is just the dedication and getting up and
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I work nights, so sometimes if I work really, really late, I'll be going to sleep by the time you're getting up. So that's always funny that I always like that, because all of our people, yeah, you do have to get up at an extremely early time. And how has the experience with cardio been like for you? Because for a lot of people, cardio, I mean, is their ultimate menace. They hate it more than anything else. Is that something that you've embraced, or is something that you still dread?
I enjoy it. I love cardio. In fact, a lot of my weight training has been replaced with forms of cardio. So that's how much I like it. I love going to the track. I like pushing myself. I love the plyometrics and the sprints and the long distance, everything mixed together.
I mean, she is one of the most unique guests we've ever had then, because she loves cardio and she likes to put off muscle. So again, you guys, I mean, we really got to keep her here on this show right here for us. So, and when you were competing, I mean, I always love to say if you were to poll the general public, you're going to get a small singular percentage of people that are, willing to go up on stage in a bikini and pose for people. I mean, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of determination and drive. Was that ever a scary thing for you, or was that something that you ever feared and you really had to overcome? Or was it to a point where we have so many of our guests that just say, like, it got to a point where I just wanted to go up on stage and show it off?
For me, it was a little bit scary. Maybe my first time. I was always kind of like a little bit shy. It was something that helped me come out of my shell a little bit. But now it's just almost like icing on the cake. It's just something that you have to do at the end. I enjoy the process a lot more than getting on stage. So getting on stage is just something I do.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that I mean, you really have to do. But I love to ask because I ask this to all my bands and all my bodybuilders for my bands. I ask what's it like performing live on stage, and then I ask my bodybuilders, what is that feeling like for you when you get to go up on stage and show off all of that hard work that you've worked months upon months for during a prep?
Mhm.
What is that feeling like for you?
Gosh, it's always over way too fast, but it is pretty exciting. It's like you train for, 3, 4, 6 months, whatever, and you get that 10 to 12 seconds or 1 minute to show it off. It's pretty much an adrenaline rush.
Well, yeah, I can believe that, but just because I always say it's kind of unfair because the bands that we have on, I mean, they can go on for as long as an hour and a half,
Mhm.
2 hours. Where you guys, you get like minutes, if that. I mean, some people that we have on, they get like the 20 seconds and then whoops, you're
Yeah.
done. But yeah, so it
Mhm.
really is. I mean, you really got to get it down pat. But what was your first prep like? I love to ask because just to get into the shape to go on a prep, you need to make some extreme changes and you need to really get that lifestyle and really get in shape. But then going on a prep
Right.
is notching things up to just an extreme level. What was that experience
Mhm.
like for you?
As far as this last year for my first amateur show, it wasn't as big of a deal as that really. It's just controlling your portion sizes, making sure you eat on time, drink all the water, the supplementation. But I will say going from amateur to pro is another level
Mhm.
completely. I mean, everything is just so spot on, precise. I mean, and you bet like I'm doing it.
Yeah. Well, and it's such a determination too. I mean, just the drive that people need to have to compete in that. That's what I admire the most is, just the drive that people have because the normal person, I mean, after probably like a couple days of that, be like, screw this, I'm out. Like this is way too much for me. But for people to just go through that time after time is just so inspiring. And I
Mhm.
also love to talk about, being from the upper north and, I'm one of the most pale people you'll ever meet. I mean, the sun reflects off of me, kind of like some of those vampires in some of those movies, except not as cool as that. But
Yeah.
I mean, I've never gotten tan a day in my life. I either get, a little farmer's tan, which let's face it, is not a tan, or I get just incredibly burnt. What is that feeling like for you when you get to put that tan on? Because everyone always talks about, you get to see muscles that you never even know that you had. Everything really seems to pop out. What is that feeling like for you?
It is pretty cool because I mean, kind of like yourself, I'm pretty pale, not quite twilight pale or anything,
Mhm,
but I do get the extra coat of lacquer
mhm.
backstage because I'm pretty light skinned. But it does make everything pop out. Shows the definition.
Well, and I always say too, it's like you have to be a statue though as well when you put that stuff on. I mean, you
Yeah,
can't touch anything, you can't sit down. I mean, it really is
that's
just
correct.
a struggle for a lot of people. But also one of the things that I think no one really talks about at least, but it is one of the hardest things that these competitors ever have to do is the posing. I mean, the nutrition is hard enough in and of itself, the training's hard enough in and of itself, but so many guests that we've had on have said, posing is the hardest thing for me. What has that experience been like for you? Because I always like to say, you can be a great driver, you can never be a perfect driver, you can be a great poser,
Mhm.
you can never be a perfect poser. How has
Right.
posing been like for you?
It is one of those things that you train for perfection. When you get on stage, you do exactly what you
Mhm,
practice, and that is probably one as far as bikini. It's one of the most important things of your your stage presence is your posing.
mhm. So has that been a struggle at all for you when you got started, or was it something that you just picked up naturally?
I was a natural again, hate me, whatever.
Yeah.
I enjoy. I have, like I said, I'm an engineer. My thing is for detail, so
Mhm,
I will watch my videos over and over. I will replay that stuff like a quarterback does,
yeah.
and analyze everything to where I can get it like perfectly right.
Well, I always say too, I mean, it's like you got to hit the right angles. You got to,
Yes.
and people don't realize you have to flex everything at once, and you got to make it look like you're not
Mhm.
trying. That's the hardest thing for a
Mhm.
lot of people. You got to make that look like you're not trying. But out of all the poses that you do, what is your favorite one, and what is your least favorite one?
Oh, my favorite one is probably the back pose
Hmm.
because you're facing away from the audience. You can finally like stop smiling for a
Yep.
second and breathe a little bit. And then least favorite, gosh, is probably the last pose before I leave on stage because I never know what I want to do until I get there.
Hmm.
So, so I'm kind of like scrambling in my head when I'm on stage. I'm like, okay, what do I want to do this time? And then I'll just sort of make it up.
Hey,
So
hey,
it's always something I practice, but
yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just winging it too. I mean, that's hey, as long as you do what you want to do, I mean, that's 100% what I mean. We've had that answer too a lot of times where people just go ahead and
yeah.
they wing it, and I mean, sometimes it works out for them. So I mean, that's awesome. And what was that experience like winning your pro card? Because for a lot of people out here who might not be that into bodybuilding or might not know a lot about it, winning your pro card is the highlight of almost everyone, unless you go on and win like the Olympia, or you go on and, win like
Right.
the major titles, getting your pro card is the highlight because it really just affirms all of the hard work that you've put into it. What was that feeling and experience like for you?
That was it was a pretty cool experience. So unlike a lot of competitors, I sort of went on and got my pro card at my first national show.
Mhm.
So I didn't really get to experience a lot of the struggle and the ups and the downs. So that was, to me, that part of it was a little disappointing. But the gratification of getting my pro card at my first national show, that was really exciting. And to me, that just instantly put me in, little fish in a big pond again. So I didn't really get to experience like the highlight of my amateur career. It went by very fast.
And what was your
So
first pro show like? Because I mean, we have so many people that talk about, like you go from an amateur show where you think that, like you're so good. And like you said, then you go to being a little fish in a big pond, and then you go on and you see all these other competitors and you're like, oh my God, I'm a lot of times they really get shocked and they're like, wow, these women are in so much better condition than me. What was that experience like for you doing your first pro show?
that was an incredible experience. I knew I had a lot of qualities that would let me do okay on the pro stage. Now, I got sixth place, which is, top 10 is great, your first pro show. But just seeing my new set of colleagues was just quite amazing. Like their bodies were absolutely perfect. And, I was like, okay, now I kind of know what I need to do to get to that level, to get to, top 5 quality.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's a shock, but it's really good because like bodybuilding, like any other sport, gonna get knocked down, but you get up and
Yes.
you just say, you know what, I'm just gonna keep doing it. But what is your go-to post show meal?
It depends, actually. So in Japan, I actually had my brother with me,
Mhm.
and we got to go, hang out, go to the parties together, go out to eat and explore. 'Cause my first pro show was just an experience. I wanted to go to Japan, and we just went out and just had a lot of fun after. It's all about really, your experience and who you're with and what you want to do. I don't really go particularly for any food or
Yeah.
treat or anything like that.
So you went to Japan for your first pro show?
I did, yes.
Wow, that is awesome. So what made you choose Japan out of all the other places?
It was actually on my 30th birthday, so it was like a birthday thing,
Mhm.
YOLO.
Yeah.
And it's just somewhere I wanted to go for the experience. I didn't want to go into my pro show just, trying to place or trying to win. I kind of just wanted to do it for the heck of it
Mhm. Yeah, and
and
then
see what happened.
everyone, another benefit of working out, she doesn't look a day over 24. So again, everyone, I mean, that's just another benefit of living that healthy and fit lifestyle. It's like I always like to say. But what was that? I mean, were you the only Western girl in the show for the bodybuilding show?
No, there was some big names up there. Ashley Kaltwasser. I
Oh
think,
yeah.
yeah, she was up there, and there quite a few Olympians actually. A lot of the Olympians were there. And there was, quite a few of us actually. It was the first time they had the show in Japan, and it was first time ever. It was a huge, 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 huge audience, and it was a 2-day event. It was awesome.
I was gonna say you're probably gonna be almost like a foot taller than all the other competitors if you're the only like Western person there. So I mean, you definitely be the one that everyone looks at then because you just be so much taller than everyone. Because we have had people that go over there and just do. We had one guy that went over there and did just an Asian, like he was the only non-Asian person there, and he
Yeah,
was a foot and a half taller than everyone else. He was like 6 foot
yeah.
one. So yeah, I mean that's an experience in and of itself. But what was that culture like when you went there? Because I mean, there's such a different culture than we have there. Did you find it? How did they react to seeing a muscular woman in public? Was it different than the reactions that you might get here?
A little bit, but honestly, the culture was just
Mhm.
amazing. It was just very friendly, clean, just amazing city to visit. But as far as standing out, I'm 5'4". I'm a little
Mhm.
small, and then as far as competing, I always kind of like shrink, get pretty
Mhm.
tiny. So I kind of fit in. But I will say that the Japanese people were a huge fan of
Mhm.
the bodybuilders.
Mhm.
Not even bikini. It was for the bodybuilders. They were
Mhm.
just going nuts.
Mhm.
That was insane.
Oh, and that's awesome. It's nice to go to a place where you guys get the appreciation that you guys definitely deserve.
Definitely.
But I always love to talk about because it's one of those things that isn't talked about, really at all, especially on Instagram. But a lot of competitors don't talk about is that I'll give an example. So I was at a New Year's Eve party and a friend came up to me and he said, Ryan, I love watching your podcast. One of the things that really surprised me though is that I didn't realize that these bodybuilders that they're not, looking like that they don't have that look 24/7. That I mean, people don't realize that look that you guys put on stage is not a sustainable look. I mean, you're not going to look that shredded
Mhm.
all the time. And for a lot of guests that we have on the show, I mean, that's really, really hard for them because they have that, image that they want to try to maintain for the people. But then they realize, like, hey, I've worked my butt off, but it is not a sustainable look. Was that ever a struggle for you? because we've had people that, have really, really struggled with it. And some people, put on like 20 pounds in like a week or two
Mhm.
afterwards. Was that ever been a struggle for you?
Not too much. I don't really stray too far. Now, I will say I got home from Japan and it was the holidays. So, of course, I had some extra cookies, but, no regrets. Not a big deal. But as far as being a pro athlete, that's sort of your lifestyle now.
Mhm.
So it's not, and it's bikini. So it's not hard to maintain that particular look year round.
Well, I was gonna say you have a little bit more difficult case because a lot of the compares that we have say, like you got to put on,
Mhm.
weight if you want to put on muscle, but you're trying to do the opposite thing. So you can't really just put on the weight then to turn it into muscle. Then so you gotta So that's just a little bit different. So yeah, it's nice to have that
Mhm.
difference. But what really made you want to become a petroleum engineer? Was it something that did you always want to be an engineer even when you were younger, or how did you get into that field?
My grandparents were civil engineers, and I just, I kind of like their quality of life. I thought it was interesting. But honestly, when I applied to UT, I scrolled down the list. I picked petroleum engineering. I went to my 101 class, and the professor was, I'm not kidding you, just a huge redneck that
Hmm.
talked about shooting deer out of a hot tub. And I was like, I want to do that. So it's a culture thing. I love the oil and gas culture. There's a lot of blue collar there. There's a lot of good old boys. And on top of that, it is very analytical, deals a lot with engineering, physics, and also geology. I love rocks, so.
That's awesome because yeah, I mean when everyone does think about Texas, they usually think about the big oil and the big all that type of stuff. So yeah, we got someone that finally works in there. So yeah, it's nice that we finally get that positive representation of Texas that everyone always sees. But another reason that I love having guests, especially from the deep South, on is because it can get super hot there during the
Yes.
summer. I mean, it can get really cold. I mean, it's 5 degrees up here where I'm at right now. I mean, we were below zero by the time early in the morning, but and I have a problem. So I work at UPS as a supervisor. So I, make sure people unload stuff right. But at the end of the night, I got to go outside and check all 136 trailers and make sure that there aren't any packages in them.
Mm-mm.
Last Friday it was -2 degrees and -20 with the wind chill, and I went out there and my thumbs were almost dead black by the time I got in. I thought that I had gotten frostbite, so I had to put them in like scalding hot water, but luckily they're fine now. But yeah, and because I had to wear, I could only wear those gloves that didn't cover your fingertips or your thumb because I had to write, the car numbers down and if they were empty or not. So yeah, and I have to do that, every single night, but it's just been getting like super cold. We got a really bad cold stretch in there, but going off that, so when it gets to be really hot in Texas, how are you able to stay motivated to go outside and work out? Because I can imagine, if it's like 100 to 105, maybe even 110 degrees, I mean, I would just basically say, you know what, screw that. I'm staying inside. I have a gym at home, so luckily I can still get that workout in. But how do you still find that motivation to go outside when basically your body's just telling you, like, no, do not go outside?
Yeah. So again, that's kind of why I work out so early in the morning. It can get dangerous with the heat levels here, and you really have to watch, dehydration and overheating. But I love the hot weather. I love sweating and being outside. But you do have to be very very careful and make sure that you're not in any danger when you go outside.
I always say, when everyone always talks crap about the cold, though, I say there's one benefit to it, and it's because we don't have to deal with any mosquitoes. We don't have to deal with any bugs. We don't have to deal with really any. So that's the only thing I say that's joyful because during the summer when all those mosquitoes are out, I cannot wait for the 5 month span when I never see a mosquito outside. And that's the one positive thing about summer that I mean we all agree on is like or I mean winter I should say is that no mosquitoes. But yeah, especially in those extreme weather temperatures, it is interesting to see how people still find their motivation. But two of the questions that I always love to ask all of our health and fitness guests that I have on, for the first one of the things that I realized when I was going to the gym and getting bigger and stronger, there were a lot of positives, but the one negative thing for me was that you're going to get asked to move a lot of people's furniture. You're going to get asked to open a lot of pickle jars. I mean, I'm still at home with my parents for the next couple of months before I move out, and every time they come home with groceries, I basically have to lift the car into the driveway. Have you found that to be a similar experience where people just look at you and look at, how in shape you are, and then they just assume that you can do favors like that for them?
Yeah, actually in the office like 2 weeks ago, someone asked me to move a desk. So
Mhm.
I did it. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't have a problem doing it, but it's kind of like being the person with the truck. You do
Mhm.
get asked to move quite a bit. So
Yep.
that goes the same with muscles.
Yeah, well, that is actually the answer that we get all the time. They go, well, if I one lady said no, but if I had a truck, I would. So yeah, the truck is definitely. But like
Yeah.
last summer for me, I mean, every other weekend, friend would text me. I'm just be like, oh hey Ryan, I want to, can you come over and help me move? And just got to the point where I just said yeah, sure. But now my favorite question to ask, and again, this is a multi-million-dollar idea for all of our guests out there listening. When it comes to clothes for fit women, your clothing options can be limited. I always love to say, like if you have big shoulders, dresses aren't your best friend. Jeans are another thing that we hear of all the time that can be really difficult, especially because you're expected to have, the big lower body and the small waist. What are some ways that you can sort of compensate for the fact that your clothing options are limited and the fact that you work, in an office setting where
Yeah.
luckily some of the people that we have on here, there's like, oh, I just get to wear, like trainer clothes all day. So I'm fine. But you have to, wear those office type clothes. How do you sort of
Mhm.
find your ways to still, be able to have a nice wardrobe?
Oh gosh, a lot of dresses. I love dresses.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like a one size fits all
Mhm.
sort of thing. But that and anything stretchy, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, and plus, I mean, with dresses, I mean, you got to show off the arms every once in a while. And you got to show off, the hard
Yeah.
work. So everyone out there, that's what I always say too. I mean, if I had some of these, I mean, I'm still in really good shape, but if I had some of these bodybuilders' arms, I'd be snow thrown in the winter, like -5 degrees with a shirtless, jacket and just have it cut off, right here. But I mean, just finding those great clothing options can really be a big struggle for a lot of people.
Mhm.
But yeah, like I said, everyone, it's a multi-million-dollar idea. So if anyone out there is thinking about it, I definitely say get on that. But now, what is your favorite exercise to do, and what is your least favorite exercise to do?
Oh my gosh. Favorite exercise. I've got a thing for all everything booty band related. I
Mhm.
love it. It's like the weirdest thing. It's not heavy weights. It's just, wear the band and, do some pop squats. So I love those. Least favorite is anything abs. I don't like working out abs or chest. I don't do any chest. So
Yeah, I mean abs. Yeah, abs for me are definitely. I train abs. More than anything else. But yeah, that's one thing that I really dislike too. And yeah, chest.
Mhm.
I hate my chest days. I mean, I do them with pride, but like I said, leg day for me is just the worst. Like I still have horror stories. Thinking I have nightmares. Sometimes about leg days just because they're just for me it just doesn't work out. I mean, just being that tall just doesn't really work. But have you found? I mean, I always love to ask people that are I mean, you're pretty average height, but like for a lot of people, sometimes it's interesting to see people that you wouldn't think can lift a lot of weights. Like let's say you're wearing a lot of clothing and you go into the gym, and then all of a sudden you start like repping out like this huge amount of weight. Do you sometimes like the expressions that then people give when they finally realize like, hey, you are in great shape?
As far as them being surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess they don't, really
Uh,
expect that. But I mean, I look pretty athletic. I look like
oh
I
no,
can
yeah, I know. I'm just saying, but like
great.
if you're wearing like what you're wearing right now, they might not realize like how in shape you actually are.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, yeah. That was
Yeah.
different. Yeah. If I go
Yeah.
to a meeting and I take off my jacket and wearing
Yeah.
like, no sleeves or something, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're jacked."
Yeah.
So that's pretty common, but
Mhm.
it's always
Oh,
fun to see the reactions.
well, yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, it's like you worked your butt off for those results. So I mean, absolutely go and take it. But yeah, because I always like to tell a story. We had another guest who was a power lifter, and she weighed like 95 pounds. She was like 4'11", and she could bench like 150, I think it was. So like she would go in there, and then everyone would just be so shocked. And she didn't look like she was like a power lifter really at all. I mean, she had a little bit of muscle, but
Right.
she was still like super super skinny. So yeah, that was. I mean, I always just love asking because we did have a girl in my gym in college that was also like that, where she was a lot stronger than she looked. So then everyone would just be like I don't life doesn't make sense anymore when like we saw her lift kid we'd be like, how is she doing that, like what's going on here? So yeah, I mean
Yeah.
just having that illusion. But now we go to our audience favorite and my personal favorite part of the podcast, where we're going to ask Celeste here about a dozen or so questions that I ask all of our healthy and fit guests, and we're going to see how our answers stack up to everyone else. So for our first question, what is your go-to workout song at the moment?
Mm. Oh my gosh. Honestly, what is that new song by Ariana Grande? Seven Rings. That's a good one.
Seven Rings. Yeah, that is a great one.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm more of an
Yeah.
old school where I gotta have like my '80s music, my '80s cheesy music. But
Oh yeah.
I have a problem where like I have a gym at home, so luckily I work out there like 75% of the time. But when I do go to a normal gym, I'm one of those guys. I gotta wait for the beat to drop. So you might see me, doing like a lat pull down, and I might just be sitting there. I've had people come up to me and say like, "Hey, are you all right? Did you like pull out your back or something?" I'm like, "Nope, just waiting for the beat to drop." So yeah,
Ah.
I'm known throughout the gym as that guy. But now, out of all the celebrities on the planet, if you could work out with any celebrity, who would it be?
Oh my gosh, The Rock,
Mhm.
100%.
Yep.
Dwayne Johnson, come on.
Yep, I hear that we hear that all the time. He's a by far our most popular answer. But now, out of all the celebrities on the planet, if you could train any celebrity, who would it be?
Oh my gosh. Ooh, I have no idea. Probably Kevin Hart. He'd be funny.
Kevin Hart. Yeah. Well, here's the only
Yeah.
problem with that. We get that answer all the time, but if you were to train with Kevin Hart, he would be so funny that you would get the best ab workout of all time, but you probably wouldn't get like an actual workout done. Yeah.
Oh, that's so true. That would be worth it because I don't
Mhm.
like training abs anyways. I'll
Oh,
laugh.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that would definitely be a great person that I'd choose definitely to work out with too. I mean, I'd like a a comedian as well. But now, what is one item that you always need to have in your fridge?
My fridge. Oh my gosh. Probably egg whites.
Yep. Our most
Definitely
popular,
egg whites.
two of our most popular answers, chicken and egg whites, and I was really surprised with all these bodybuilders that we have on the show that mustard is an answer that I got really surprised by because it has 0 calories, 0 fat. So a lot of the bodybuilders put that on their
Mhm.
chicken, but I always say, if you have to put mustard on your chicken to make it taste better, you might want to reevaluate your life. But I mean
It
that's
gets to the point where your taste buds just don't care.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're just eating the stale stuff. And what are some ways that do you ever like try to put stuff on your food just to make it taste a little bit better? Because I mean, eating the same bland stuff day after day that can get really boring. Are there any ways that you sort of like to mix it up?
It does. You can mess around with different seasonings, condiments. I've gone to like stevia and liquid
Mhm.
stevia drops in my egg whites. It's very weird, but it worked.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about finding what can get you through the day because being a bodybuilder is tough enough in and of itself, food wise, what it can get you through. I mean, just all about finding that. But now, out of all the people that follow you on Instagram, what would you think would be the most surprising thing they'd find out about you if they met you in person?
Oh my gosh. I don't know because I try to be pretty,
Mhm.
authentic on my
Uh,
Instagram, but I'm a goofball, like
yeah,
big time. 100%.
yeah.
That'd be probably pretty surprising.
Oh yeah, well I mean yeah, well especially when they see like an engineer, you don't usually picture engineers as goofballs. So yeah, and that's yeah, well, I've noticed that just from talking to you, and I'm like, yep, yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. But if you were given if you were given the all knowing power and you were able to do whatever you wanted with it to do anything different with bodybuilding, what would be the one thing that you would want to change the most?
With bodybuilding, oh, that'd be a good one. I would think it'd be cool if bikini girls could pose to like their own music.
Hmm.
That'd be pretty
Oh,
sweet.
they don't let you do your own music for bikini?
Oh gosh, no. No, you go on and it's not like bodybuilding, so it's a different division.
Hmm.
With bikini, you just kinda go on one after the other, and you get your minute to do your pro routine, and then you're off stage.
Oh, I thought they gave you like a little bit of music to go with that minute, but damn, that's hard because I mean, posing to that different song when it comes on I mean, it's hard to kind of match it up with any music that's playing because everyone's so used to doing that. So yeah, that is definitely that would be a good one that I'd love to see change. I
Yeah,
mean,
that would be pretty cool because you don't know what they're gonna play.
yeah. I mean, they could
You're
play
just
like the most dour downbeat song of all time, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of hard, pose and have a positive attitude with that.
Mhm.
But also, one of the things that I love to talk about is, when you're doing these competitions, you have to wear those heels. Has that ever been a struggle with you? I mean, have you been really familiar with heels? Because we've had, guests on here that have been. I mean, my second guest was the second tallest bodybuilder that's ever competed. She was 6'2" and she did bikini, and she was like 6'7" in those heels. But has that been a struggle with you? Those heels, learning how to walk in those things and being able to pose?
Oh my gosh, no, I've been wearing heels since forever.
I was gonna say she's a Texas girl. I should have known better before I asked that question.
Right,
But
that's right.
but yeah, I mean, just a lot of times because we have so many stories of people that you got to vacuum in them, you got to do all these other household things just so that you can get used to having that feeling, 24/7. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's because that can definitely be a huge struggle. But now we get to some of the more fun questions. What was the last TV show that you binge watched?
Binge watched. Actually, I'm still binge watching it, but that Netflix one,
Yep. We heard
you
that
heard of
one
that?
yesterday
Yeah.
too. Yep. That is one
Oh
that
my
I
goodness.
I mean, I haven't had enough free time to look into it, but I'm definitely going to because it does look interesting. Like I saw the trailer for it and it's been getting,
Very
these
good.
great reviews. So yeah, I'm definitely
Mhm.
going to have to look into that. But what is your favorite TV show of all time?
Oh my gosh, favorite. Honestly, it's so weird. I love like gardening shows, like Home and Garden.
Mm.
So Fixer Upper on
Yeah.
HGTV is like one of my favorite shows ever. Shiplap.
So my older brother's best friend from high school, he's in LA and he actually does editing for that TV show.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, no
So
way.
he is in the studio and he does it for Fixer Upper and he does it for another show. I forgot what the other show was, but Fixer Upper is the one that really came to my mind when you said that because I know that he does it for that.
Yeah.
So you'll see him in the
Yeah.
end credits. Yeah, it's really really cool. So my older brother, loves
Oh
that
no,
show because it's his best friend,
that is so cool.
that edits it. So yeah, and then my older brother went out to visit him and he like showed him like his workstation and how he does it. So yeah, that was I mean really good for him. But yeah, so yeah, I have actually a little bit of a connection to that show. So yeah, but for me personally, I mean, I'll just be your basic, like Office and Friends type person where it's just
Yeah, yeah.
that's just what it is. But now, what is a guilty pleasure movie that you enjoy?
Oh, movie. I'm really not sure. Honestly, anything Will Ferrell,
Yep.
I think is hilarious. Dumb and Stupid is kind of
Yeah.
like my go-to for movies.
The Other Guys is
That-
one of my favorite movies of all
yes,
time. Yeah, I mean,
Despot.
oh my, yeah. Like, me and my friends in high school used to have a saying like, when was the last time someone did this? And every time someone would just go September '08, and then we'd all just because it was all just we quoted that movie so many times.
Yeah.
It's so that's one of the most quotable movies ever. Like I could, go through. We could just do the whole podcast on the other guys. So yeah, I mean, I love that movie. But for me, all of my guy friends, close your ears. You never heard this. Princess Bride is my guilty pleasure movie.
Ooh, that's a good
Yeah,
one.
I mean, I will watch that movie. That's my ultimate date night movie. That's my ultimate, that's one of those movies where if I'm flipping through the channels and it's on, I stop what I'm doing and I watch it. I was even typing my thesis paper in college and that movie came on and I stopped what I was doing to watch it. And if that isn't dedication, I don't know what is. So yeah, that's definitely.
Oh, awesome.
But again, all of my guy friends, you never heard that from me. So we're I mean, you only hear me admit it on here. But now, what is your favorite fashion trend of all time and least favorite fashion trend of all time?
Fashion trend. Oh my goodness. I have no idea. I don't really keep up too much. I'm kind of like, I'll wear classical things. So, no opinion on the fashion.
Oh, well, hey, she's honest, everyone, because we have some people where you can tell, like, they're trying to make up, an answer for it. So, at least we got someone who's honest. But for me, I mean, flannel, especially being up north, you have to fall in love with it just because it's so warm and cozy. And, when you're outside, it's, that's the one thing that's going to make you live. And then also, you got to put on a little bit of weight, too. Like, I know a lot of people have been commenting. Yes, I do put on, like 10 to 15 pounds during the winter just to survive, because if you're that lean and it's really cold outside, you are going to die, because just you become, if you're already like a skeleton already from just being super lean, then, once you hit that ice cold, yeah, it's not going to turn out well. But my least favorite, so my dad ruined this for the entire history of the world in the late 90s, fanny packs. Now let me say, girls can rock fanny packs. I got a girl on yesterday who I said that to, and she's like, "Hey, I love fanny packs," and I said, "You didn't let me finish." Fanny packs are, can be pulled off, and they're amazing for girls. But guys with dad bods trying to rock the fanny packs, if there's one thing that I can stop with this podcast, it will be the spread of fanny packs, because they are making a slight comeback. So yeah, fanny packs by far. But now for our last question of the questionnaire, if you could go back in time and talk to the 18-year-old version of yourself, what would be the best piece of advice you would give her?
Just do you.
Mm-hmm.
Do whatever you're going to do. I don't think there's anything I would change, nothing I would do differently.
Yeah.
Actually, I'd probably just walk right past her and not even say anything.
I know. If I did that to me, I would do that too. Where I just kind of it'd be like a Back to the Future thing where I would just watch them for a little while and from like a distance where they couldn't recognize me. But if I ever ran into them, I'd say, just enjoy your younger years, because I'm getting to 24, and I'd say enjoy that young metabolism that everyone just misses like crazy when they get older. Because I mean, being 24, I'm slowly starting to enter, that older adult where your metabolism is slowly shrinking. I mean, I can still get away with a lot of things that older people can't get with, but that 18-year-old version where you could just, eat whatever you wanted and not gain a single pound. If that was one thing that I could change about anything, I would be that everyone would have that metabolism for the rest of their lives, because every once in a while, I just want to enjoy a milkshake and a burger. And, you gotta steady pace that out yourself. But do you ever have cravings, and how do you deal with them?
Not necessarily. I have an extremely well-rounded and complete diet, so I don't really have any particular cravings. I will get cheat meals every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Typically go for like a burger shake. I have a huge sweet tooth, but I put stevia, that fake sugar stuff. I'll do diet sodas. That usually takes care of it.
Yeah, again, everyone, she's like one of our guests that just everything seems to. I mean, again, just trying to lose muscle. I mean, I don't get it personally, just because everyone's goal is to gain it. But I mean, honestly, yeah. So yeah, definitely, everyone, just go and check her out. And now for the last couple of questions that I love to ask, our guests that we have on. So, what is your plan for the future? I mean, are you getting ready for a show now, or are you just sort of relaxing and taking it easy? What's your current process like now?
So I actually just started a prep this weekend. We're just gonna kind of start a prep and see where it goes, see how I'm looking. And my coach and I are actually planning for a long season. So I want to get plenty of stage time and fine tune everything about my look, my routine, my body, and just see where it goes. So I'll be competing all year here and there.
So how do you, like, a lot of people who compete all year, how do you keep your body at that level? Because it's just it's hard for people to just maintain that even for the day of the show. Has it ever been a struggle for you to just maintain it like that, since you're planning to compete almost for a full year?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a little difficult. I mean, last year I think I did back-to-back shows pretty much for a couple months in a row.
Wow.
It was a little difficult. I got tired, but my body was fine. It was really like my mind that was kind of tired. So, but as far as that goes, that's really comes down to good coaching, good nutrition, good plan for when you step off stage. Keep your metabolism healthy, keep your body healthy. Take rest days when you need it. Massages, stretching, yoga, the works, everything.
Do you warn your fellow employees ahead of time when you're going to be on prep? Because we have a lot of people that sometimes, they might get a little more ornery. They might get a little more angry because they're starving. So do you ever give them a little bit of warning ahead of time and say like, hey, for the next couple of weeks, I might not be, as spunky and as happy as I normally am?
No, my attitude really doesn't change. I'm pretty happy year round. Now, I will say peak week, I'll tell them I'm bringing tilapia to the office. And so, I'm going to use a microwave, so it's going to smell a little funny. That's the only thing.
So yeah, so she doesn't even get, tired or, I mean, she doesn't even get angry when she gets, is there anything that you can't do then? Or is there anything that doesn't work? Yeah, I mean, you're answering every question the opposite of what it was. I mean, this has definitely been the most unique podcast I have ever done. So yeah, and I mean, it was just so awesome, talking to you. And before we do wrap things up, I mean, when you are getting into the gym and when you are, maintaining that mental focus that a lot of people just don't understand, is it hard for you sometimes to sort of get out of that phase when you're in the gym and, just getting really, really focused and then sort of realizing that you have other things to do in your day? Or is it just one of those things where the gym is just a part of your day where you just go there and you just work out?
Yeah, I just go and I work out and, I'm kind of like an in and out person. I'm actually trying to make a conscious effort to like, chill out, talk to people. Usually I just put my headphones on, I get in and out because I do have other things to do, but I'm trying to enjoy it a little bit more. If I had to, say anything about it, but it's just a part of my day. It's just something I do.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite answers is that we had one guest come on and she said, to be completely honest, I hate working out. I just love the way it makes me look. And I said, we finally found one, because I'd always said out of all these guests, I was like, I'm going to find one that I know hates working out, but only does it because of the aesthetics. So we finally found one, and that was a couple of weeks ago. And I was so happy because I was like, the search is over. It only took me about 60 guests to get to it, but we finally found the one. But yeah, I mean, train, because I mean, not everyone always, you're always not going to wake up with, that positive attitude to go out and train, but it's all about, just getting that workout in. And how have your friends and family reacted once you started with this transformation? What has their main reactions been?
They have totally and completely accepted it. They just think it's a normal part of my life. They'd expect me, to go to the gym every day. If I try to make plans with my friends, I'll plan everything sort of around that, or I'll be like, hey, I'll work out first, then I'll join you. So they expect me to 100% be in gym and bring my own meals. In fact, if I don't bring my meals with me, they're like, Celeste, where's your food bag? What are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I got that all the time in college too, especially with friends, trying to go to a party, and then they're just like, oh, hey, it's not going to be a workout time, right? And I was like, no, I already got it done through the day. So, and one of the most important things I like to talk about before we wrap things up is it's not talked about at all. And I had a guest on that was really, I had the #1 sleep specialist on the planet come on, and he called us all the way from the UK and from Oxford. And first of all, he had one of those accents where you felt like you gained 10 IQ points just from talking to him, just because he sounded so smart that you're like, oh my God, I'm getting so much. I was like, I just told him, I was like, I'm not going to say a word during our podcast. You're just going to talk the entire time, and I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it. But yeah, we talked about, the importance of sleep, and especially if you're competing, sleep is so important when it comes to your muscle recovery, when it comes to, just building yourself back up to get ready to go out there and work out again. What does your daily amount of sleep really look like? What do you try to get? And what do you, I mean, and especially during prep, because you do need to, I mean, if life was perfect, you would get a lot more sleep when you're training than you would if you're just living a normal sedentary lifestyle, because you need the more sleep just to rebuild your energy. What is your normal amount of sleep, and would you like to change it at all?
I would like to change it. I go for about 6 or 7 hours, but sometimes I only get 4 or 5. And it is what it is. And I tough it out and just try to, keep pushing. I don't sleep in. I don't miss my workouts. Just like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Whatever.
Do you just fill up with caffeine basically then to get you through the day?
I do. I have to right now. Yeah, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I've got coffee.
Yeah, I mean, I wake up and I'm one of those people where I can't fall back asleep. So luckily, I don't need caffeine. But yeah, I mean, just getting those 4 hours of sleep. I mean, I've had days where it's just you're working out. That is definitely the hardest workout to do. But now, is there anyone that you would like to give a shout out to?
Oh my gosh, all my friends, family, my coach is great.
Yeah.
Those kind of people.
Oh, well, no, yeah, absolutely, 100%. And again, you guys, go and check out Celeste. I mean, I'll leave a link down below to her Facebook page, her Instagram page, I should say. And is there any other ways, like, do you have a Facebook page? Do you have anything else that people could reach you at?
I think I do. I haven't like set it up yet,
Oh, okay.
actually. So I'm new to like the Instagram and
Yeah, it's
Facebook.
yeah.
I just got one last year, so
Yeah,
I'm
it's a
still
work in
figuring out
progress.
all the buttons.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a work in progress. But again, you guys, I'll leave a link down below to all of her stuff. Go and give her a follow. Just look at some of her photos, and you'll be like, okay, I need to get off the couch and stop eating those Twinkies, and go to the gym. So again, you guys, Celeste, we cannot thank you enough for coming on the show, and we wish you nothing but the best in the future. Honestly, I mean,
Thank you.
how you lose muscle. I mean, I'm still, that's still just blowing my brain, but we wish you nothing but the best in all of your endeavors. I honestly think you're going to do very, very well because, like I said, you are one of the more muscular bikini competitors, I've ever seen or had on the show. So you are going to go, I think you are going to make a huge impact. And lastly, I always love to ask, if you had never taken up bodybuilding or never competed in the sport, where do you think you would be at in life right now? What do you think? You think you would still be doing the same things?
I would still make it to the gym and have that healthy lifestyle. I would just be a non-competitor.
Yeah. Well, and that's awesome because, it's all about, maintaining that healthy lifestyle because there's so many, like, the obesity crisis, all of that stuff that's happening. It's so important to just be able to maintain that. But again, you guys, we cannot thank Celeste enough for coming on the show. And this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot, signing out. Have a great day, everyone.